tradition, no pope had been laid to rest outside the Vatican in more than a century. But Francis opted instead for burial in Santa Maria Maggiore, St. Mary's Major, located in the Italian capital's most multicultural neighborhood. Upon arriving at the basilica, the cardinals walked through the holy door, which was opened at the start of the year to mark the start of the Jubilee year 2025, and took turns to pray at the Pope's tomb. Following Francis' funeral ceremonies, attention now switches to who might succeed him. The secretive conclave is unlikely to begin before May 6th and might not start for several days after that, giving cardinals time to hold regular meetings beforehand to sum each other up and assess the state of the church beset by financial problems and ideological divisions. The U.S. National Security Advisor Mike Waltz has said that the President Donald Trump intends to use both carrots and sticks to push forward negotiations between Russia and Ukraine. Waltz made the comments after Trump rebuked Russian President Vladimir Putin over recent attacks on Ukraine. Trump and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, who were both in Rome for the funeral of Pope Francis, met in Vatican Basilica on Saturday to try to revive faltering efforts to end Russia's war in Ukraine. The meeting was the first between the two leaders since an angry encounter in the Oval Office in Washington in February, and comes at a critical time in negotiations aimed at bringing an end to the conflict. Greenland and Denmark has agreed to strengthen their ties in response to U.S. President Donald Trump's interest in taking control of the strategically located Arctic island, both leaders said after talks in Copenhagen. Greenland's new Prime Minister Jens Frederik Nielsen landed in the Danish capital on Saturday for a three-day visit in a display of unity between the mineral-rich island and the semi-autonomous Danish territory and Denmark. Nielsen's visit follows months of tension over Trump's repeated declaration that Greenland should become part of the United States. The leaders of Denmark and Greenland have said only Greenlanders can decide the territory's future. However, they have found themselves treating a delicate line between firmly dismissing U.S. ambitions of annexing Greenland while also trying to maintain good ties with their traditional ally. It said an ongoing expansion of the U.S. consulate in Nuuk, Greenland's capital, which was agreed before Trump took office, was causing anxiety among people of Greenland. Fredrickson said Denmark was ready to invest more in Greenland and to support Greenland financially as it takes over more responsibility of domestic affairs from Copenhagen as part of what she called a modernization of their relationship. Denmark has called for increased Arctic defense collaboration with the United States, and both Nielsen and Fredrickson said they were committed to strengthening defense in the region. Meanwhile, Denmark's King Frederick will travel to Greenland on Monday in a further show of solidarity. U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent has said that he had interactions with his Chinese counterpart last week during International Monetary Fund meetings in Washington, but did not disclose the standoff over President Donald Trump's tariffs. There have been conflicting signals over the U.S.-China trade war, with Trump saying talks are taking place and China denying any have occurred. Bessent, who said last week that tariffs negotiations with Beijing would be a slog, did not give a timetable for any potential agreements with China. He said that a trade deal could take months, but a de-escalation and an agreement in principle can be achieved sooner and would keep tariffs from ratcheting back to the maximum level. Trump's erratic and often confusing rollout of tariffs has hit countries ranging from the largest U.S. trading partners like Canada, Mexico, and China. The result has been almost unprecedented market volatility and serious damage to investor trust in U.S. assets. At least 11 people were killed and dozens injured when a man with a history of mental health issues rammed an SUV through a crowd at the Filipino Community Festival in the western Canadian city of Vancouver, police says on Sunday. Police arrested a 30-year-old Vancouver man at the scene of the incident on Saturday, April 26th evening, describing him as having had a significant history of interactions with authorities involving mental health. They said there was no evidence of terrorism. I'm allergic to tacos. I'm allergic to tacos. I'm allergic to sokuso. I'm allergic to sokuso. I'm allergic to sokuso. I'm allergic to maroba. Malabi lomba loba. I'm allergic to sokuso. Whenever you see and hear, whenever you read the news, the attack on Saturday evening took place 2 days before Canada's federal election on Monday. More than 12 hours after the incident, police still did not have a motive for the attack at the festival, which took place without a dedicated police presence or heavy vehicle barriers. The suspect was initially chased down and held by festival goers until police arrived, witnesses said. The injured were taken to hospital or multiple hospitals, police says. When there is a track up, what I mean by track up is when the anchor is not shown on TV, there's a lot that happens. Just like what I did, I could stand up to dance. I could do like this. I could do like that. I could bring up my water and do what I want to do. Drink my water, clean it out. Be okay. Maybe do some dapping the powder here and there. You know, if I'm hairy, I would have just combed my hair a little bit. Before anything happens, before I go, before I go watching, before I go doing things. But trust me, it's fun. It's a Monday. How you doing? It's a mad Monday, so you just have to be mad a little bit. Sorry about that. I mean, I'm doing the news, but there's a track up going on. So I'm free to do whatever I want to do between now and then. So I'll be fine wherever you are. How you guys doing? How you guys doing? How you doing? How you doing everywhere? How you doing? Meanwhile, Eyewitness has described moment a man drove into Vancouver festival as tragic. Resident Joshua Polintan said the driver pushed the gas all the way through the whole block, crashing into everyone in this way. Omo. This driving, this careless driving is just virtually everywhere. I mean, it wasn't the other day we were talking about a vehicle that crashed into some Christians who were processing along the Gombe Road. Also, a trailer just rammed into them, killing so many persons. So these things are just crazy, man. Just don't be in the wrong place at the wrong time. That's what we pray, man. Canada's Conservative Party leader Pierre Poilievre paid tribute to the victims of an incident at the Filipino Community Festival, where at least 9 people were killed when a man drove through a crowd. Carney said an investigation had begun into how and why the attack took place, adding that authorities believe the man acted alone. Speed up. Excuse me. So the beauty about this particular incident that happened in Canada is that it's easy to arrest the person, it's easy to arraign the person should pay for what he has done, and to check whether the person is all right. Because again, quite frankly, there's nobody that will be fine upstairs that will be able to do that kind of thing. And it's a developed country, and again, they have ways of checking these things out. But In Nigeria, it's constant. I think we have more constant mad people on the road driving trucks. Sunday was the final day of a 5-week campaign for Carney and his rival Pierre Poilievre to make their pitches to voters ahead of an election on Monday that has centered largely on U.S. President Donald Trump's tariffs and threats to annex Canada. It was unknown if the mass casualty events in Vancouver would have any impact on the elections. Also, British Columbia Premier David Eby paid tribute to the victims of a car ramming attack at Filipino Community Festival. The identities of the victims have not yet been released. More than 100 police officers joined the investigation as local officials worked with provincial and federal authorities to provide support services. Police warned that the death toll could rise in coming days and weeks. Eby said the attack would not stop residents in Vancouver from gathering together to celebrate events, but vowed to work with police to ensure enhanced safety measures in the future. Russian investigators have filed terrorism charges against a Ukrainian citizen suspected of killing a senior Russian military officer near Moscow, Interfax news agency reported on Sunday. The Kremlin has blamed Kyiv for Friday's car bomb and killed 59-year-old Yaroslav Moskalik, the latest in the series of Russian military officers and pro-war figures to be assassinated since the start of the war in Ukraine. Interfax, citing Russia's investigative committee, said the suspect, Ignat Kuzin, had pleaded guilty to killing Moskalik and had seen, as I said, he was recruited by Ukraine's security services. The investigative committee said Russian authorities were trying to identify others who might have been involved in the killing of Moskalik. Russian war bloggers described Moskalik as a rising star. He had participated in several high-level Russian delegations and have met Western officials to try to negotiate settlements to the conflict in Ukraine. He also dealt with Syria, presented a report on military technical cooperation in Africa and the Middle East at a security forum in Moscow in 2021. A new ceasefire in Gaza had made some progress, but an agreement between Israel and Hamas to end the war remains elusive. Mossad Director David Moder traveled to Doha on Thursday to meet Sheikh Mohammed Ahmed efforts to reach a new ceasefire in Gaza, Axios reported last week. Sheikh Mohammed didn't say which elements of the ceasefire talks had progressed in recent days, but said Hamas and Israel remained at odds over the ultimate goal of negotiations. is that the militant group is willing to return all remaining Israeli hostages if Israel ends the war in Gaza. But Israel wants Hamas to release the remaining hostages without offering a clear vision on ending the war. Fidan said Turkish officials held with Hamas has shown the group would be more open to an agreement that goes beyond a ceasefire in Gaza and aims for a lasting solution to the crisis with Israel, including a two-state solution. I'm allergic to Sakusa. I'm allergic to Sakusa. Elewi wada wawa. Elewi wawa wawa. I'm allergic to Sakusa. I'm allergic to Sakusa. In sports, Remo Stars have emerged champions of the 2024-25 Nigerian Premier Football League (NPFL) season. Daniel Ogumbodede's sides claimed their maiden NPFL title following a 1-0 victory over Niger Tornadoes at the Remo Star Stadium in Kenne on Sunday. Also, Olamilekun Adedayo scored the decisive goal 6 minutes from time. Remo Stars made history at the first privately owned club to win the title race since Udoji United achieved the feat in 1996. It is also the first time a Southwest club has claimed the title since the now defunct Julius Berger won it 2 decades ago. The Kenya-based club sit atop the standings with 68 points from 35 matches. Second place Rivers United have accumulated 58 points from the same number of games. Liverpool roared back from a goal behind to thrash Tottenham Hotspur 5-1 and wrap up the Premier League title in style on a momentous day at Anfield on Sunday, needing only a point to ensure a record equaling 20th English title with 4 games remaining. Liverpool were rocked in the 12th minute as Dominic Solanke headed Tottenham in front. But the title party was only temporarily silenced as Liverpool struck back with Luis tapping in Alexis McAllister Thunderbolt and a Cody Gakpo shot before halftime. One-sided second half saw Mohamed Salah end a 6-match scoring drought by firing a low short pass Guillermo Vicario in the 63rd minute, celebrating his 28th league goal of an outstanding season by snapping a selfie with a fan. Tottenham's Destiny Udoji then bundled in an own goal to complete a miserable afternoon for the visitors who have lost 19 Premier League games this season. Moments after the final whistle sounded to confirm Liverpool as Premier League champions in a remarkable debut season for manager Arne Slot, the Dutchman paid tribute to the man who helped pave the way for his success at the Merseyside club. Slot's post-match salutes to the delirious Liverpool fans at the Anfield involved, leading them in a song about the club's beloved former manager, Jurgen Klopp. After his emotional final game with Liverpool last season, Klopp, who won 7 major trophies in his 9 years on Merseyside, had encouraged the Anfield faithful to sing the same song set to the tune of an Austrian band Opus's Live in Life about the incoming Slot. Slot becomes the 5th manager to win a Premier League title in his first season in England and first Dutch boss to win one. The enormity of the accomplishments, he said, might take a while to sink in.
just drive down you will come to a place that's a dustbin. The house is opposite the dustbin as you, when you negotiate as you are going downstairs. There's a small sign on the wall that says Senator TV. As you have to come in, you see where you have trees, some trees planted on it. At that point, you take right. That right corner down and start showing down. It's just 2 houses away. Three houses away.
That's the news this hour. I'm Charles Pice. Join me in another 5 minutes for the morning show.
I thought you guys are finished.